the other thing about Peter, and I don't think this happens now, is that he's a Catholic.
Oh, that's interesting.
And don't take this, anybody take this the wrong way, but when I first went into my dad he'd been to the Holy Land in the war, and he'd done the Via Dolorosa, the 10 stages where Jesus was carrying the cross in Jerusalem, and there's a path that he walked to where he was hung on the cross, and that's the 10. And there's you can pray at all these places, and he'd done that. And he said when he was there in the war, it was a very it's still a tiny village, whereas now it's a horrible big city. But anyhow, and he used to Catholics used to get time off doing jankers, they called it, off work, because they had to go to church. So he became a Catholic, so he didn't have to do as much work on the ship, and he could go to church instead and things like that. And we were brought up, Catholics were just Catholics, they were just Christians like I was. But when I went to Peter's house, you'd have thought I was the spawn of the devil. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe, and I was so innocent and naive. I should have backed off and thought, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going here. But I didn't, and I was called a redneck, which I didn't understand, but I thought it was derogatory, right. And because of their martyrs, I presume, the Catholic martyrs that Church of England had killed them, but it weren't me. But we had our own martyrs, but we just don't go on about it as much. Anyhow, I think this is altered to some degree now, but not totally, not in that family, not totally. So that was a real, and I was like, but I don't understand this, because I wasn't brought up like this. We're all brought up to, now, the Muslims and everything. There's all these other religions now. It's got Christians, I don't know, in this country. Anyhow, that was a big, from being 16, that was a hard thing. I got quite depressed about it, actually. And then, of course, I had to promise to bring my 2 sons up as Catholics. Not that they bother now. And I once said to Peter, when you got married, you had to. Apparently, just a few years before I married Peter, we wouldn't have been able to get married at the altar because I wasn't a Catholic. It's unbelievable, isn't it? This is a big thing with a big thing that I've endured. I think Peter don't go to church now. Don't know why. But anyhow, he doesn't go. That was a big thing, and he was quite. I think he had a quite hard childhood and a repressive childhood because of all this tight Catholic, really tight community, and I didn't fit in. I had to go and live there, where this Catholic community at Frenchwood, but I didn't fit in and I wasn't happy, and a lot of the people there made it quite clear that they didn't like me. Still goes on now. I see these old ladies like 20 years older than me, and they can still be quite nasty to me, and I don't know if it's because I'm not a Catholic or because I was upset at the time over all this. I upset them. I don't know. I don't really care anymore. But I was quite, for the first few years of marriage, I had this Catholic thing going on, and also Peter not wanting to go out. So I never went out. I had to give up work because I got pregnant after we got married. I had to give up work, so I was just stuck at home with a baby. Never got took anywhere, we never went anywhere, and I got quite depressed. So that was a bad time. But you couldn't leave. You'd nowhere to go. My dad wouldn't have had me back, I knew that, because he told me. So you'd nowhere to go, so you just stuck it out. People just stuck it out in them days. But funnily enough, now I'm quite happy. You stuck it through the bad times till it got to the good times again, although you don't know at the time. Yeah, in fact, I don't think I've ever been as happy as I am now.
Good.
Yeah, it's funny. Peter's a darling now, and it wasn't at first. I had years of I don't know, I just put up with him for years. And then when I went back to work, got a bit of my own money, started going out. I didn't do clubbing or anything, I went walking. And went on walking holidays without him, and I think he suddenly thought, just a minute, she's getting her own life here. And it was like a turning point, and I started, like, if it shouted at me, I'd like hand it back. I should have done it years ago, but I never did. No confidence. So, we're a different couple now.
That's good.
Yes, happy ending. Yeah, girls. I don't know if I thought everybody was like me at that time, but I don't think they were. I think a lot of girls did have confidence, but I didn't. I think because of me dad. But we've seen this good side of him as well.